Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we are going to be taking a first look at an upcoming game by Green Tree Games, a game that I have been highly anticipating for a long time. Like 6 or 7 years ago it was on my most anticipated list. Hasn't been on the list since because I generally don't put games on there multiple times, but it is a game I've been looking forward to for quite some time. It is, I would call it a turn-based hex-based role-playing war game. Role-playing tactical war game. It has elements in combat of like advanced squad leader, but then it also has these sort of suzerain-like dialogue features that are built into the game where you have to make decisions that sort of put you in the shoes of an officer leading men in combat. And so it's very unique in that sense, trying to blend the two genres together. You don't see a lot of games that really hone in on like, what does it mean to lead people? There are games that include officers, but it doesn't usually put the moral question on you. There are some games like the, Decisive Campaigns game, especially the Barbarossa game, that give you like key decisions of like very senior officers, and that can have humanist impacts or Cauldron of War, but you don't really see a lot of those games at like the squad level where it's like, or company level where it's like, you know, you're Dick Winters. Are you gonna have a guy charge out into the field to buy you time so everybody else dies, or you know, how are you gonna handle that? Oh, and you know him and his family. So, this is a game that's going to try and deal with that. Now we are continuing a campaign here that is currently in the midst of training. So we're still toward the end of what the original demo was, I believe. Well, we've gotten through the initial 2 tutorial missions of like how do you move around a map, and then also how do you fight. But now I think we're going to start getting into the more complex scenarios that are presented to you before we actually head off to war. And this game does send you off to war in North Africa, up through, I think, Italy, and I think the Cottonbalers end up in France. I don't remember the unit's exact history, but I believe they kind of go all the way from North Africa through to the conclusion of the war in the ETO. So should be a long and interesting story for this game. Right now we have just done those 2 missions here, and so I did spend, you get like loyalty and prestige based on like missions and objectives, victories, and then also like decisions you make. So I spent most of that to get our first squad, first platoon, and third squad, first platoon, both over 100 experience. Every 100 experience, you start to kind of get bonuses for troops. Right now, everybody's green, which is why they all have these 2 command points, but like once they become veterans, they get 3. I don't know at what point that switches over to 3, but they at least have some level of perk here because they're over 100 XP, these 2 guys here. But yeah, that's where we're at right now. Did I just undo all that? But that's where we're at right now. Let's go ahead and continue the journey, and we'll see if my newborn doesn't, wake up and force me to cancel this in mid-flight. But for now, we're going to continue forward and see what happens here at the next step in our journey. Yeah, Wake, it's our second, so... Two houses. September 24th. It's still September 24th? Wasn't it September 24th in the last scenario? Are they all September 24th? Okay. And so they really do lean into this, like, Band of Brothers, we're going to tell a story and give these veteran interviews.
Nobody knew where they were going. I mean, they just loaded us on the train, and in fact, we didn't know where we were going until we got close to somebody, how it got out, but somebody said we were going to Camp Pickett, Virginia.
I think they're kind of neat to do that. I do wonder, like, they're short to prevent things being too broken up, but they're almost too short to be, like, meaningful. I don't know. Anyway, Captain in Command, 24 September 1942, Camp Pickett, Virginia. Your men trudge down the road toward the next training site. A jeep comes the other way, burdened with big green army bags, mail bags. Think this is our mail, Lieutenant? Sergeant Bennett asks. Given how the jeep practically overflows with cargo, some of it has to be for Nickel Company. There could be some for my parents. Who you left behind set to parents. Okay. So there could be something from my wife. We've already determined we're professional. Or there could be something from my sweetheart. So I'm a professional officer from the pre-war army. So I'm going to assume that I've been in for 2 or 3 years. I've already got a wife, I think. And, I mean, I did leave my parents behind too, but I guess we'll go with my wife. Being separated from your wife is a hard thing. Marriage is supposed to be a bond, but right now the army comes first. The men are certainly distracted by the possibility of their own letters too. Sergeant Grant glances between Bennett and yourself, clearly eager for orders. So, no mailbags for us. Keep marching. Loyalty down 1, prestige up 2. Loyalty is how favorably the men perceive you. Prestige is how favorably your commanders perceive you. So, keep moving. Ignore the mail. You get it later. My men will not like me for that. Flag down the jeep. Grab the mail for later. That improves the loyalty but hurts my prestige. Double time march. Forget it, boys, and now charge. Okay. Flag down the jeep and schedule a break. Well, I'm professional army, so probably won't, like, just stop. Because also there's a likelihood, I assume, if we schedule a break, that it may cause us to arrive fatigued at the next scenario, perhaps. Even though my men would really like it. Shoot. Let's go with grab the mail for later. You have Bennett flag down the jeep, and your imposing sergeant does precisely that by standing in the middle of the road and daring the driver to run him down. A brisk discussion results in a transfer of an army sack filled with letters. At lunchtime, the men can read them. You know it's bad when you're looking forward to the cold lunch, Private Morris says to the lanky soldier marching beside him. Could be worse, Private Patterson remarks, briefly glancing down at the slightly more rotund Morris. We could be Marines. Ha. That gives my men a high chance of trust, increases trust. Have Sergeant Bennett quiet the men down. Commence a marching cadence. We've already said I'm going to be kind of like a stoic officer. But I don't want to be such a cold fish. Whatever. That feels like the middle ground. The men can complain when they're back in the barracks. Right now they need to focus. You give Sergeant Bennett the nod, and your sergeant falls in beside the humorous pair. Eventually the field umpires, the same one from earlier in the day, steps forward and signals for you to bring the marching column to a halt. So, yep, same day as the previous scenario. Okay. This is Integrated Company Command Operations, the field umpire with the clipboard says. His uniform is somehow crisp despite the heat, right down to the black band of field umpire neatly set about his sleeve. The good news is that the next exercise is ready. The bad news is that you, Lieutenant, are not. What do you mean? Okay, wait for the twist. This will not be a repeat of the last exercise, though, the field umpire says. Lieutenant Stern and Lieutenant Dearborn will be part of the Blue Force. Yourself will be acting as their captain. You will have limited time to consult with them. Limited time, sir, Sergeant Bennett asks in your stead. How limited? The field umpire taps his watch lightly and then gestures toward a nearby rise. Hurry over the rise. Over the top of the rise, you find 2 lieutenants in the midst of conversation. Stern paces about kicking pine cones up with every step. Across from him is a man of bearing, tall without needing height, his hands clasped tightly behind him. Lieutenant Dearborn. Ah, Lieutenant. Lieutenant Dearborn says as he turns toward you. We're just discussing strategies while we wait upon the captain. I am the captain. I am your captain now. Okay. Dearborn says nothing, but upon finding your gaze on him, tenders over a little nod of understanding at the situation. Okay. What do we know about the enemy? Reinforced platoon from Red Force, Dearborn says. At least 1 machine gun. I didn't hear anything about that in the briefing. A very brief briefing. An umpire may have mentioned it in the passing. Okay. Alright, let's not waste time. Head out now. See you on the field, Stern says. Then he hurries off to something just short of a sprint. You must learn decorum, Lieutenant Dearborn says quietly, else the men will think less of him. Hey, that Dearborn reminds me of the way they portray British officers in all the naval fictions I read, you know. You can't rush. You always need to look like you're just on the exact schedule you intend to be. Agrees silently. You and Dearborn share a moment of reflection. Yes, the officers must appear to be unruffled and unhurried, at least to their men. A warning whistle blows in the distance. The flag goes up from the nearby radio men, and the exercise is shortly to begin. For now, I am the captain. All right, so now it's going to teach you how to lead as a captain. So captains provide flexibilities with orders. So if you may remember from the previous scenario, you basically every platoon has an officer, and the officer has to expend points to move or issue orders to his platoon and to activate squads and things like that. The captain is kind of a free agent. He can issue orders freely amongst his units and use his points to influence. So like up the chain of command, you've got kind of the squads that report into the platoon leaders and the platoon leaders into the captain. So again, the captain is a wild card for orders. He can activate any unit in his company regardless of the active leader by using the task take command button. Furthermore, a captain can bolster, press, and rally any squad in his company that is merely adjacent to him. Okay? We're going to be Captain Lamb, but that's not like our actual characters. Whatever. The lieutenant might not have enough orders to bolster, press, or rally his squads. The captain can do all that too, and from an adjacent hex, so that's why he does not get in the lieutenant's way. Okay.
You may think tactical leadership is all about leading men in combat.
I don't mind these like little video overviews from Luke.
Or what the military calls command and control.
But I do find them like if I was playing this more than once, it would get a little bit annoying. Like I wish I could just click through it. I can hit the X button, but
you've got 4 orders.
All right, I'm not going to watch that right now. All right, a whistle is blown. The exercise begins. All right. So we've got our map here. We got to take these 2 buildings. We're on this ridge line here. We've got some cover. We've got Lieutenant Stern's heavy company with machine guns and mortars up here on the upper right. We've got Lieutenant Dearborn's infantry with 3 squads down here in the lower left. And then we have Captain Lamb, which is who we're playing as right now, up above them on sort of the second tier of this ridge line here. Game, for the sake of the tutorial, wants me to go ahead and select the captain, but do not move. After locating the hidden second step, rally this unit. The hidden second step, what does that mean? Select the captain, rally button. What is the hidden second step? Okay, so I just expended a point to rally. Okay. Press the men into action. Together, you and Bennett get the men moving again. There's no time for rest, not yet. Press order will expend 1 leader's order, but then refresh a single order for a squad. This is most often used when a squad is in bad position, but is also spent and can't act. Yeah, so you can use a press command to basically give a unit additional action points. So these guys have no action points, and the game wants me to go ahead and press. It's kind of like a double time order. All right, so we press them.
There's another reason
I'm not going to listen to that. Umpire writes something in a small box and then initiates it. Nothing like a few sharp words from a sergeant to get a squad moving again. Now we need them to lay down some fire to see whether the enemy is hiding over there. Okay, have Dearborn order a recon by fire without having to pass the round. A captain can act in tandem with his subordinates. If only Stern were in a better position. So then, like, these all have the same... Yeah. Okay. All right, so select the squad we just pressed. And now there's a recon by fire. So, like, we can't always see the bad guys. They might be hiding in this rough terrain. And one way that you can determine if the enemy is there is you open fire there, and if they respond, if they reveal themselves under fire, you may learn that there's bad guys down here. So we can go ahead and do this. Thank you very much for the follow, Krieger. Krieger, like, the graphics, yeah, they're not, like, super high-end. But frankly, I think they do a good enough job. I've seen a lot of really terrible games that try, like, there's a lot of newer tactics games that have really bad, have slightly better graphics and the gameplay is bad. So I guess I'd rather the gameplay be good. Anyway, it's also made by like a real small studio. I'm assuming on a pretty small budget. There they are. Sergeant Bennett calls out. All right, so we went ahead and shot at them. The refs want 2 objectives taken, and they want casualties to be light. 2 objectives are marked on your map. Certainly the refs will tell you when you have officially seized them, and if the enemy has taken them back. They will also tell you if you have inflicted the necessary casualties on the enemy or captured, destroys keyed battle units, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Now, again, we're still very much in the tutorial phase of the game, so just keep that in mind. So we fired on these guys. It revealed their position, and I can use my captain here to spot for Artie. We can either do off-map or we can do 60mm mortars. So there's 105mm off-map artillery. I don't know why the 105mm has always been like one of my favorite. I know the 155 is kind of, and maybe this started with World War II, but the 155 is kind of taken over like the default everyday gun from, I think the 105 was that like up through Vietnam. But the 105 is just a cool little gun. Did it tell me what to choose? It wants me to use the captain and barrage the hex with mortars. Okay. So use the 60mm mortars, which are over on map over here. And then we can go ahead here. You can see the assumed result here, a good chance to win the initiative. And then also you can see the variables here. So we'll go ahead and do that. There is Doug. Flags go up. The enemy over there registers the hits. Mortars have fired. The umpire indicates you will shortly have heavy artillery available for you. Proceed to an overlooked position and act as a spotter for the rounds. Okay. So now it's telling me, hey, the captain should move to better ground. So like the captain is, again, he's kind of the free agent here, issuing orders for his units, but also like I've got a radio so I can call in artillery. So it wants me to move the captain up here. I don't want to move across open ground if I can avoid it. So can we waypoint our way over here? We can. So you can see the little flags. Move the captain. We avoided going into the open.
So let's see some of these leadership problems.
You can see a lot from up here.
Stern's going to soften these.
Yep, okay. Enough to sketch out a rough battle plan. The field umpire taps his pencil against his clipboard as you get into position. Here we go, Sergeant Bennett says. A concealed view of the battlefield, not perfect, but take a good look at that house down there. The enemy's almost certainly inside. We could ring their bell with some artillery. U.S. Army's going to use a lot of artillery. And here comes some of it. It wants me to barrage the objective here. I hope I get to use more of it. So barrage either the upper right or the lower left. I'm probably going for the lower left objective first, so let's go ahead and barrage this one. Incoming! Flags go up. Exercises pause as the refs check your numbers, verify things with the rangefinder. Eventually they agree. The 105 scored good hits. That's the math then, Sergeant Bennett says, as you survey the hammered target. They look suppressed, so let's just follow up on those buildings before they recover. Discerning enemy capabilities is a key point of the exercise, the field umpire remarks, and idly taps his clipboard. However, there's another small matter. Please continue, dear umpire. I like my sarcasm. The umpire squints pointedly at you and then points down the hill at where a team of Stern's machine gunners have positioned their big wooden log. The trouble is the weapon is a blind side in regards to the southern objective, which is what I just bombarded with artillery. Send a runner, Lieutenant, the umpire says. Exercise your authority over there. I don't particularly want to tell him to change his... I lose the 105 now, lame. All right, game wants me to select these guys. Wait. Take command. Change facing. Did I not do that? Okay, so we changed the facing on the MG. I'm a little worried because now it's going to end up being, the objective directly to the right is not going to have an MG covering the open ground between them and us, but we'll see.
Captain Lamb here.
All right, so the exercise is going to commence in earnest. I'm assuming we'll get less of that like hand-holdy throughout the rest of this time. We're kind of through the early little bit here. All right, so we have one more order for our captain. I don't really have anyone I want to move or shoot on, right? I could shoot on the house, but they've already been mortared this turn. I can move Dearborn's squad next because the captain isn't around, so to move Stern's boys or do anything with Stern's boys, I would have to use Stern. It's not his round, or could be Dearborn's round. You can only move one platoon per round, at a round. So, and then a turn is when all the rounds are completed. I think because we've bombarded the guys in this house, because we've sort of fired on these troops down here in the south, what we'll do is we'll just move Dearborn's boys first. I'm hoping there's no more men in this wood line here, but that is a hope. Our objectives are to kill a certain number of bad guys and then also to take these objectives. So let's go ahead and move. Do we want to move? Dearborn can bolster these boys.
Gentlemen, ready yourselves.
Ready yourselves. And then can we assault down here? Can we do that? It looks like we can. Let's not do it with Dearborn. Can we just do it with just the infantry? Keep Dearborn up near the other squad to assault the house. Looks like we passed the morale check. Those guys surrendered, so they had been sort of suppressed from this ridgeline, and then our boys moved in here across the field and charged them. Move Dearborn over here. Bolster this squad. But they can't move because he spent all his points. Although, I should have used my... Well, he's not adjacent to anybody, though, so... Okay, so I think that's it for this round. Now we get to move to Stern's round. But I don't know if I have anything I can do. I should have moved these guys. They had another movement point. I should have moved them to the right. Can we just shoot at these guys? Okay. So suppress these guys. They're already getting bombarded with artillery. Now they're heavily suppressed. I'm assuming there's bad guys in this tree line too, so I am a little nervous about that, but I don't really have any ability to move these boys more quickly. I think what we will do is, can I press the mortar squad to give them an action point? And then use the mortar squad to drop our ammo on the other house here. So hopefully if there's bad guys in here, they're now suppressed. We end the round because Dearborn's boys can't do a whole lot. I think all I have left now is my officer, which I don't know that I want to move him. I guess I'll let him sit up here for now. So leave some unused points.
Hello, LT. I want to talk to you about one last night.
Okay. Flags up, flags down. No one is quite sure what's going on. There's some yelling between the umpires about the bombardment, but it makes little sense. Finally, the umpires refer to a telephone switchboard they've set up, stenciled on one side are the words field radio. Okay. Okay. So they're going to rank me. All right, we know there's a suppressed bad guy over here. Let's suppress these guys again. Bolster.
Rest assured.
Oh, I chose rally, didn't I? Fuck, that's my issue. I hit the wrong button. Hey, we inflicted a casualty. That's what the red skull means. I can't get there. I can't assault them. But we can move very close. They'll be exposed to enemy fire as they move in.
What are you, stupid?
Now they'll assault the position. Looks like the assault failed. Okay, so there's a morale check and whatnot. Your assaults don't always succeed. So if we had bolstered them that turn, rather than choosing the wrong button, choosing rally, if I had bolstered the other guys. Anyway, moot point. So I'm going to waste this turn probably not accomplishing much. The enemy's trying to rally his troops who are getting bombarded. We'll go ahead and keep hitting him with machine guns. They're going to shoot back now for the first time. I can't press again this turn, unfortunately.
Bell, I'm counting on you.
All right.
Let's find more targets.
Keep shooting. Keep suppressing them. Keep their attention away from where that assault is going to come from. I don't think my officer has any off-map artillery he can call. Let's move him down the hill toward these two squads. We'll expose ourselves a little bit better, a little bit more, but... Oh, I don't know why I bothered pressing there. These guys can't move. It's not their round. Alright. It'll be turn 3, I think.
Gentlemen, to me.
Can I... Yeah. Not their turn. Okay. Field umpire steps toward you with his clipboard. No idea, sir. Nickel Company. All right, so the Wandering Squad. A new squad has arrived. Activate them and turn them away from the training exercise? I don't want to do that.
Where's that truck?
These guys just wandered into the exercise zone. No, that's right. I should have bolstered. All right, my officer's going to charge forward here. Expose myself to fire. Get up here. And bolster these boys.
Come on!
Now they're going to charge. I wonder if I'll get downgraded for exposing myself. Yay, we took the house. That's one down, one to go, Sergeant Bennett calls out. The umpire agrees wordlessly and ticks a box on his clipboard. Okay. So we took one objective. Good job, boys. We got a couple turns left. The squad has... Can they shoot from here? No. So they're in the objective. We got to move Dearborn's boys up toward the other objective. All right, maybe he needs to bolster them.
Gentlemen, prepare for battle.
All right, move these boys through this brush.
Private.
Move these guys up through the open, up on top of the ridge. They were exposed. Goodbye, squad. We got them to where they needed to be. All right. Meanwhile, these guys moved. Now we're going to go ahead and have them fire and suppress these guys in this house.
Take your shots, count.
Hey, they inflicted a casualty. That's what the little red skull means. We'll end the round. Stern can go ahead and have his mortars pound these guys. We'll have the machine gunners change their facing. And then go ahead and shoot at these guys.
Fire, fire.
Okay, so we fired artillery on them. We also fired mortars down on them. In fact, can I? No, I can't. All right, so we'll just sort of chill here. These guys, I guess, can shoot a second round of ammo. Okay. All right, 3 turns left. We'll see if the officers have some surprise. Major victory no longer possible. Okay. So if I had won this, if I had been more efficient on turn 2 and not wasted that turn, perhaps we could have won this thing with a decisive. As it is, no spotter or line of sight. Shoot. Okay, Dearborn. Bolster.
Follow my orders and we shall prevail.
Can we go hand to hand after we bolstered? Yes.
Gentlemen, with me, gentlemen.
No resistance, and we took the house. Okay, so we took both objectives. Enemy bombardment, the field umpire indicates and writes something on the portion of his clipboard. Late as usual, it'll be heavy enough to mark the end of the exercise and the beginning of the review. So we did win a major victory because, from the men's point of view, we had basically no casualties. Loyalty earned 11. Minor victory, we completed it just barely on time. Prestige earned 10. So if I had won the turn before, it would have been a major. As it was only a minor. Have a good one, Doug. Thanks for coming out. Hope the Brew Crew have a great season. I will say this. So my daughter was born, and the year she was born, the Bucks won a title. So my son is born. Let's hope the Brewers win a title to go with that, you know? All right, continue with the story.
I think a good leader is a man who knows what has to be done and sets about to do it. But he also has to know about the people that he's got to do it with.
You're not liking a guy and you know he's got the ability to lead you. You don't care whether you like him or dislike him. First of all, guts. Second of all, brains. You ain't got the brains, you don't belong there. Because you're going to take men with you when he gets killed.
You don't want them to. You want to take no men, no matter if they hate you or not. You want to get them in alive and get them out alive.
You got to look up to the guy and like him. If you don't look up to him and like him, you're not going to go with him. And then everybody tells you any different. They're talking through their hat.
Okay, the field problem is over. The referee confer, clipboards are exchanged. Minor victory, secured both objectives on turn 4. Major victory, referees determined that casualties were minimal. I don't think we lost any men. You were able to send the wandering squad out of danger, but that wasn't part of our criteria. You fulfilled the assault criteria, the field umpire indicates, and idly taps at the top of his clipboard of his pencil. You made an assault. If the men see you with them from time to time, Captain, they'll know you mean it when you have to go in. Temporary morale-boosting efforts were acceptable. The men know your voice, and they'll respond. Rallying tactical minimal, the field umpire remarks, casting a sideways glance at Bennett. I left things to my lieutenants, Sergeant Bennett says, which isn't terrible, but you have to be able to motivate them if someone takes it in the neck. Lastly, fire direction unproven, the field umpire says as he taps his pencil. When a captain directs fire, Sergeant Bennett says things get done. Maybe. Okay. It's a pass, the field umpire notes, and then signs the bottom of his clipboard. Marginal but acceptable. Good enough for the Army brass, I guess. Eventually, gain 3 experience. Next exercise. Tomorrow is another day, Sergeant Bennett agrees, as the platoon sergeants organize the men back into columns for the march back to the barracks. Hopefully, Sergeant Layton has a hot dinner ready for them. They've certainly earned it. Okay. Have a good one, Silver. Hope you have a nice night. All right, so let's go back to the section here. So this squad, first squad, these guys are all under me. I don't think any of these guys fought last turn. So we've got 2 squads at over 100 XP. We do have 13 loyalty and prestige, which we can use to dole out. Wilson's squad we haven't even seen yet in this company. That fight was mostly done by Dearborn and Stern. Stern's MG Squad 1 already has over 100, MG Squad 2 has over 100, and the mortars have 13. So these two are sort of tiered up to 1/5 the way there. And then the infantry squads, which did the assaulting, I'm assuming 3rd Squad, 3rd Platoon did most of that because it got to 50 XP. Let's go ahead and spend some prestige and loyalty to get these guys to 100, to get them up to sort of the tier 1 of 5. I'm trying to build a more balanced, sort of generally effective company here. So I have 2 squads in the 1st platoon and 2 squads in the 3rd platoon now that have 100 XP. 2nd platoon, given we haven't even seen them yet, they're all green. But I think that's decent. And then 2 MGs. Loyalty 3, prestige 3. Should I be doing anything with myself? I guess I didn't save enough points left to do anything. I can do one more. Let's do the mortars. I like artillery. I'd like to get the mortars up as well. All right, let's continue our journey. I don't know if there's any reason to stockpile XP or prestige or anything like that, or if you even can. Not really sure. Crossroads. I think this is the first like big full company size battle and possibly the last before you go to war, maybe. Because we are in Torch, and it's already September, so I'm assuming we'll be shipping out soon. But this was the last of the sort of demo scenarios.
That's where we left from. We left from Newport.
All right, I think our next fight is actually a company-sized fight. I think it was the last fight of the demo. But we're going to go ahead and play that one next time because we've already been going for about 40 minutes. So this is sort of the second video where we looked at the tutorial for Burden of Command, which comes out April 8th. In our next video, we will take a look at sort of a full company-size engagement and see how that plays out. And then I think after that, we get into the actual fighting of first the Vichy French and then the Germans and get out of training. I think. That's my assumption anyway. But we'll see if that's true or not. Until next time, however, this is the Historical Gamer saying once again, thank you very much for watching. And until next time, I'm out.